In remarks to the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library on Sunday, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis touted his record on education. Sounding off on a host of hot-button and conservative-appealing issues, DeSantis slammed so-called woke education policies. DeSantis touted his opposition to critical race theory, progressive gender theory, and battles with teachers' unions. He also sounded off on liberal education pandemic policy and touted Florida's recent uptick in educational rankings. DeSantis is a likely 2024 Republican presidential contender, having secured a massive victory in his 2022 re-election bid. DeSantis was a bright spot for Republicans in an otherwise disappointing midterm, in which Democrats overperformed historically. He is the only Republican whom polls show poses a threat to former President Trump's nomination in the 2024.
But that was a huge factor in causing people to make those decisions. Another important factor has been our approach to education. As I mentioned, we've had families move into Florida with kids, school-age kids, in numbers like we've never seen before. And I was born and raised in Florida, and as a kid, if anyone would have said Florida could compete, much less do better in K-12 education than New York or California, people would have laughed at you. Fact is, you had some of the best public education in California as well as New York. That's no longer true. The 2022 Nation's Report Card for fourth grade reading and math, the first post-COVID assessment, Florida's fourth graders ranked number 3 in reading and number 4 in the nation in math. And if you control for demographics, we're very likely number 1 in both. We're ranked number 3 in K-12 achievement in Education Week's most recent Quality Counts survey 2021. We are ranked number 1 for parental involvement in education. And we are ranked number 1 for education choice in all of the United States. Now, there was a survey, so as the COVID was going on, there would be surveys about what states had schools open in person, and sometimes it was by school district or city or whatnot. So 9 months into COVID, 10 months into COVID, January 2021, Burbio.com did the survey. State of Florida, 100% open in person. California and Illinois, less than 20% on their survey, open and in person for all students. I am sorry, that is a disgrace for this state and Illinois and other states that did it. And the consequences of that are going to live for a long, long time. Now, we're proud of being the top state in the country for education choice. And yes, part of that means private scholarships, particularly for low-income families. We have about 250,000 students in the state of Florida on private scholarship. We also have 363,000 students in Florida in charter schools, which are public schools, but they're not controlled by the school districts and hence not influenced by the teachers' unions. And we have, because we've done these programs, what happens is our school districts, they have to compete for bodies because the dollars follow the student. If your enrollment declines, you get less money. If it goes up, you get more. So our school districts have had to offer choice programs within the school district. So we have over 1.3 million students total, private scholarship, charter, and intra-district choice throughout the state of Florida. A place like Miami-Dade County, our most populous county, 2.8 million people, 70% of the students in Miami-Dade County attend a school other than whatever their local neighborhood public school would be. Sometimes it's private scholarships, sometimes it's charter, sometimes they're going other place within the district. But what that has done is that has driven our increases in student achievement because there's a healthy competition, and if the privates are offering a program, then the charters have to offer it. If the charters are doing it, then the school districts have to do it. One of the things that we've seen with the pandemic is the pernicious influence that you have with these school unions. They're very partisan, and they're pursuing a partisan agenda through our K-12 schools. We think that's wrong in Florida. I can tell you they sued me in the summer of 2020, and they were trying to get the schools closed in the state of Florida. We beat the unions on that, and we also beat them on expanding our choice programs. But I've also understood, as somebody that's done more school choice expansion than just about anybody in the country, I graduated from public high school, and we need to have good public education. So since I've been governor, we've increased teacher salaries by over $2 billion, but we do not let the money go to the union. It has to be spent on teacher salaries. We're also proud, and it's sad that we even have to take this stand, but in the state of Florida, we're proud to stand for education, not indoctrination in our schools. What is the purpose of having a school system? You know, the left thinks the purpose is to use your tax dollars and use public institutions to impose an ideological agenda, to foment political activism and advance quote-unquote social justice. In Florida, we reject that. We believe the purpose of education is the pursuit of truth, academic rigor, and to give students the foundation so that they can think for themselves and be citizens of our republic. The left believes that regardless of the outcomes of elections, that they should still be able to use these institutions to advance their agenda. And in Florida, we are contesting that notion. Our view is that schools need to be accountable to the taxpayers that fund them. They need to serve the mission that's in the best interest of the state of Florida and the best interest of parents and the best interest of students. And to do that, our school system needs to respect the rights of parents to be involved in the education and upbringing of their kids, particularly understanding what curriculum is being used in the classroom and making sure that curriculum is consistent with our state standards and is age and developmentally appropriate. So we are empowering parents to be involved. If there's something that is inappropriate, unfortunately, we see students 10 years old maybe, and there will be pornographic books. How did this happen? And so now we've empowered parents with the ability to object and to get the inappropriate material out of schools. We should be focusing on math and reading and the core subjects, not worrying about this other stuff. We're proud to have robust standards for American history, and that means teaching all aspects of American history. We've got great stories. We've had pitfalls, and students need to learn all those. But we reject ideas like critical race theory in our K through 12 schools. We are not going to teach our students to hate this country or to hate each other. We are not going to divide our students on the basis of their skin color. We are going to teach them that what is important is the content of their character. What's important is whether they're working hard and doing the right thing. We also believe that parents in Florida, and my wife's here, who's a great spouse, and I think the best first lady in all 50 states, and we have our 6- and 4-year-old with us. It's been a big weekend for them. We started in Houston on Friday. They went to the Houston Rodeo. Then yesterday in Dallas, they got to go to Cowboys Stadium and check that out. They had monster trucks, and now they get to learn about President Reagan. So they're having a good time. I think they may get a little tired. But when I'm looking at these education issues, I'm looking at them through the lens not just of a governor, but I'm looking at them through the lens of a dad. And I believe parents in the state of Florida should be able to send their kids to elementary school without having an agenda jammed down their throats. They should not be teaching a second grader that they can choose their gender. That is wrong, and that is not going to happen in the state of Florida. And I know you have a company down the road in Burbank that had different ideas about that, but I can tell you this, Disney may have gotten everything they wanted in Florida for the last 60 years, but there's a new sheriff in town now, and we are not backing down to that. We are also working to reorient higher education towards those goals that I had mentioned. And to do that, we've already enacted reforms so that all tenured professors in the state of Florida must undergo review every 5 years and can be let go for poor performance. We will also be signing legislation during our legislative session to ensure that our universities operate in a colorblind fashion. And accordingly, we will be eliminating all DEI bureaucracies and programs. No more discrimination. We're going to promote merit. You look at some of the stuff that's going on. Do you want your neurosurgeon to have gone through medical school without taking a standardized test or being given that based on some type of ethnic consideration? I want it based on merit. I want the best people in these positions, and that's what we have to stand for. I've also appointed 6 conservative trustees to a small, publicly funded liberal arts school in Florida, Sarasota, called New College. It had basically been left of the left, almost like a commune, no grades, bad test scores, but it was funded by our tax dollars. And so I said, look, if this is going to continue, it needs to serve an important mission. It's supposed to, under statute, be our top honors college in Florida. It was not fulfilling that mission. So those trustees got in, they fired the president, they installed a conservative president, eliminated all DEI programs, and created a new mission to make New College the top classical liberal arts school in America along the lines of Hillsdale College. We're going to have one in the state of Florida. So parents are concerned about using the schools to impose ideology. And Florida is standing against that, and the result is we have more parents that want to raise their kids in the state of Florida. And that has been an important factor in this migration.